right, our next assignment involves in designing a wheel and tire for the SAE Baja. So let's get started. One thing we might do from here forward is to down here to manage and projects for every single new assignment, and maybe make it a sub assignment somehow. So we can go new like this and then say new. And so for this one, we can say Baja SAE and then wheel and tire. And of course, we can multiply these by 3 to get, or 4 to get the number of tires we need. So there's no difference between the front and rear tires for this project. Once you get this completed, you should see wheel and tire up here. And so then you can start with a new one, and we'll probably be using English units, most likely for our tires. So we will start off with the standard, maybe right here and right there. Okay, and so the next thing we want to do here is grab this image here. So right click, save image as. This is a cross section of a wheel in the middle and a tire on the outside. Let's go down here to either your downloads directory or your desktop, like this. And then what we're going to do is import this in here and use it as a template for making the tire. All right, so the first thing you want to do is make a new sketch. And we're going to revolve it around maybe this horizontal axis. So we will draw right here. A good idea would be bring that image on to this sketch plane. So you want to say insert, if we can find that one. Let's see, insert, insert, insert right here, image, and then we're going to go over to our desktop to locate that image. We'll have to scale it, of course, because it'll probably be too big or too small. We need to make sure that we follow the dimensions on the standard wheel size. So you can see how big that really is right there. And we'll end up drawing a line right through here. In fact, maybe we can move it up this way. Let's just leave it like this for now. We will move the sketch a little bit later over to the center. Now, what we need to do is figure out the size of the wheel, first of all, right here. And when you go over and start to look for a wheel, you find out that it has these numbers associated with them. So what do these numbers mean? This is the kind of wheel that we're going to get. It's got 4 holes. So you can see that's what the 4 is about right here. 156 is the diameter of the circle. 156 millimeters is the diameter of the circle on which those holes reside. 38 millimeter offset is the offset from the rim over to where this flat area is. And then 15 is going to be the diameter of the wheel. And then 6 right here is going to be the width of the wheel. So it looks like 15 is going to be the one that we're going to be using first of all. So one thing we can do is then go over to the Sketch tab and put 2 markers on our image where we can measure that 15 inches. I'm going to put them right there. These are points. Then use dimensions to go between this point, and we'll make that 15. You'll see that it stretches it out, obviously, and then we go like that to bring it back in. Now it looks like it moved my 15 inches over there, so I'll move it back over this way. Let's draw in some key elements for this that we can use before we start to delete our sketch, because we do eventually want to do that. This is just used as a template. All right, so I would say we need to have a horizontal line for mirroring or rotating, let's say revolving around the vertical axis. And so let's put that in, and we will start from right here at this edge over to that edge right there. Now, eventually we need to change this so that it's going to be 6 inches. Is that right? Yeah, 6 inches. We'll have to change that later because this cross section is not exactly for that tire. So we're going to have to modify it to meet our needs there. As you may remember, what you want to do is turn this right here into a center line so that you can revolve everything else around it. I'm going to do another line vertically from the center here all the way up, maybe maybe to that point. And that's going to be our reflection about the x-axis, or I'm sorry, y-axis instead. Let's see if I can move that over just a little bit. Can we use the arrow key? No, that kind of moves everything too far. But I kind of wanted it to be right through the center of this, but that's okay. I guess we can just move it a little bit, put it right there in the center, because we're going to try to sketch this side right here and then do a reflection to make the rest of it so it's identical. And then we will draw the rest of this in here and revolve it around, and we'll have the wheel. So the next step here is to go in here and do a careful estimation of how this looks. We could try to put like, uh, I guess slots in there, but it might just be better to go ahead and make these horizontal lines and vertical lines and then add in fillets later. That might be the better thing to do. So everywhere where you see a straight line is really where we want to try to mimic that. So I'm going to go like this all the way here. That's where the fillet's going to be. And then maybe like that. And of course, you can move these around after the fact. Let's get something just roughed in there. That was good and horizontal. I like that one. This one needs to be horizontal as well. I'm going to go all the way out here, assuming that I have a fillet right there, and then coming back over here like so. I'll just make sure that has a horizontal. Yep, already got horizontal. See if we need any adjustments right here. I'm not sure what happened there. I think I might not be connected at those 2 points. Yeah. All right. Then you start fixing anything that's broken. Try and make sure it follows along pretty well. I wonder if we could just copy that and then move it straight down. So let's try that using the select tool. So we're not on the line tool anymore. Oops, that didn't let me do the select. So I'll do control click like this. And then maybe copy and put it here. But you know what? The better thing might be to just use an offset. So you click on this and then you pull it down to this area right here. And then hopefully we get it good and symmetric. Looks pretty good, right? Okay, now it probably got hidden behind the screen here, I'm afraid, or behind the drawing. So let's see if, oh no, I had escaped when it came back. Okay, so we can close off the solid feature right there, and then we'll do a reflection. But let's see if we can just put some subtle little fillets in there to make this look kind of like what they expected. And it so happens that 0.025 turns out to be a good number, good estimate for what they were trying to do. This one probably needs to be more. I'll let y'all decide if you want to do that for style. These are things we can always come back and do later, but it looks like we got a good start here. At this point, we want to reflect that sketch along this vertical axis. So I always like to do this select, but I'm afraid it's also going to select my drawing as well. Let's see, is it selecting my drawing as well? I think so. So if I go like this, I think it's selecting this and that. So I control click those out of there to see if I can do a mirror. And it goes, well, what do you have selected? The blue stuff. Where's your mirror line? Right here. And then to go apply and see if it worked out. And it did. So we go done like this. And it didn't quite do a mirror, did it? Because it looks like I should have just left this mirror point right over here. Okay, so let's see. Is there a way that I can undo that? Yeah, so I guess what you can do, I guess I had it centered somehow. The red arrow apparently is the center and it's along that plate instead. Go figure. So you can control Z your way out of that, come back over to this point, and then just move this one until it's lined up with the red line like we had before, and then make sure that these are coincident with each other. I think that one's good. Here's what I'm doing it again. I go out to the blue space. I'm selecting the objects here. I'm hitting control click on that line and this so that it doesn't make a mirror of those two things. So we're going to try that again. We've selected those prior. We reflect it here, and then we say apply. Did we do a better job? I think we did good. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting closer to the point where we can remove the sketch. I just realized though that the fillet did not take an effect right here and here. So we come back and do a little damage control. All right. Um, at the very end, I want you to come back and put the valve stem in there. It's just going to be a cylinder out here. But I won't let you do that one on your own. Hopefully at the end, I'll remind you to put a valve stem in there, which is basically going to be a 1/4 inch rod that maybe sticks out an inch. Just make it that simple, where you basically want to apply air into the tire. All right, now what I need to do is go all the way down to the center line to finish up my wheel part of this. So should I continue to do reflections? I don't think so. So we're going to go from right here down to here, then try to follow this one, try to follow this one, and keep on going. We can always adjust these things a little bit later too. So, all right, now this one, does it look okay? Kind of, we can probably pull it up just a little bit. So pull that up just a little bit like that. Move this one to the right, like so. And we'll put those fillets in there in just a moment for this part and that part right there. Everything else doesn't really look like it needs a fillet very much. Okay, I do want to call your attention to the 38 mm offset. What that is the offset between this surface and this surface right here. So for ours, we want as much space behind there so we can put the knuckle and everything behind here. So we want this to be small, 1.5 inches. I think that's what it turns out to be. So we can just say 38 mm, 2 inches, and I think we're going to get 1.5. Oh yeah, look at that, almost 1.5 exactly. So then if we go back over here and we see what our actual template is going to give us, it's not exactly the same tire. So we're actually going to see that from here to say right there is approximately 4 inches. So this one has a big inset, and it's not like ours. But let's keep this 4 inset because that is a very common inset is 4 inches and 3 inches, even though our tire is going to be different. If you want to challenge yourself and move this wall right over here until it's flat against there, making it 1.5 inches, that would be fantastic because we really need that one anyway. But if you want to continue with this template, that will be fine. I think the only difference you're going to see is basically where this wall is right here. This one wall, you would just change the design all the way up until this point, and then everything else would be the same. So this is our little raised area outside. Then come back over here and then back down. So let's put a couple of fillets in there now. I think we might have to cut this one up into pieces. So let's delete this one and that one, and then try to connect the dots like right here to right there, and then right here to right here. So we wanted to make a solid shape that we can revolve around. Adding a fillet here is probably a good idea. And right here. Now, just because that fillet looks a little bit more extreme, I wonder if we could just double click on this and can we say make that 0.25 instead? Well, I kind of messed everything up when I did that, though, right? Went a little bit extreme. So I'm going to Control Z and see if I can do it beforehand. Like if I put 0.25 here and then says it right here, does that shift it? Not so much. Does it look closer to it? Yes, but does it need to be more? Probably. So I'm doing a fillet. I'm going to say 0.5 for just this one, and it looks a lot better. Let's see if this one kind of needs the same thing. It's a little bit too extreme for that second one. but we can come in and just do the small fillet for that one of 0.25 instead of 0.125 and see if that looks okay. And we're good. I think it's enough fillets for our purposes, and we're probably ready to revolve it. I think we are. Anyway, so the key next here is to remove this or hide it so that it's not something that's going to be referenced anymore. You can see that it's an image right here. Oh yeah, we should probably save this. All right, so let's go to File Save As before we get too far away and say wheel and tire inside of this right here. I think it's going to be helpful making um, our own directories from here forward, especially when we need to zip things up for assembly files. Okay, now we're going to find out, is it going to be easier to delete this right here? Let's get the sketch right here. Oh, I need to be editing the sketch, edit sketch. Is it going to be better for us to delete it? You know, see if that's good, or if we need to hide it or suppress it. I might want to just keep it in there for later. Can we do something like make it invisible? Let's try that. Okay, that's just in case we need it again. Now, do we have enough information here to perform a revolve and make a wheel? Let's find out. So if we didn't close any of those sections, then this is just not going to work. So we might have to go back and look at every little closed section there, unless there's a tool we can find to make it easier to find those discontinuities. Revolve, looks like it did it exactly. Doesn't that look great? Oh my gosh, I didn't expect it to look that great right off the bat, but that looks fantastic. Look at that. It looks like somehow we don't have a hole here in the middle though. And let's see if we can figure out why that's not the case. Everything else looks fantastic though. Um, I didn't really expect it to look that good. Go back here to edit sketch. And where should the hole be? Oh, let's see. I think, oh yeah, let's make the image come back again. I think I know where it's at. So if we go back and say make it visible again, is this the hole in here? I don't think so. Does the hole start there? It's kind of hard to say. So, oh, and somehow I got a reflection going on. I think I'm on the other side of this part now. So yeah, I'm on the back to the front here. So we got to figure out how to make that hole there. And we got to figure out how big it needs to be. Now, the other number that we've been playing around with here is the 156 right here. And that's the diameter of the circle on which the holes are going to be placed. So before we drill this hole right here, let's go drill those and then we can figure out what the size of that hole is next. Even if I have to walk over there and measure the wheel myself, we'll take care of it in that way. So let's just roll forward like this. Got our tire back. Let's try to right click on this surface right here. New sketch. I don't know why I went down there. We might recenter the sketch in just a little bit. And let's make a circle, assuming that somehow it's going to be right there. Now, if I type in 156 mm, well, you can see that the holes are kind of out there. They almost look too far. They're not really riding up on that surface that they're supposed to be on. Does that mean we need to fix something over on this one then? Let me pause and take a look at that. So you can see this diameter is too big. So let's go ahead and delete this sketch right here. And let's make enough room on the previous sketch. So we're going to delete right here. Finish that, I guess. And delete this. Keyboard delete. Right click on this and say edit. And we know where the holes need to be. They need to be centered up right there, which just means we need to change this purple thing right here. And we're going to make the hole actually go all the way through there whenever I took a look at it. So let's just put a horizontal line for reference in here. From there over to about here, horizontal. And we'll make this a construction line. And we know that there has to be a center that has the 156. There has to be an area in this area here, an area in this area here, that has to be a diameter of 156 millimeters. So that's an engineering standard. So what we'll do here is we'll say dimension, we'll go here and we'll type in 156 mm, even though we are in inches. Now, this means that this box needs to be centered up there. So what we're going to do is delete this one. Oops. Delete this one, this one, this one. This is where our hole is going to be for um, what's it called? Um, the hub. And then we will move this one so that it is up that way. So I guess what we can do is just kind of, if it'll let us pull that one up there a little bit, like so, and then maybe move this one up there like this. So it's got to be centered on that line right there. Now, one way we can make sure of that is go up here, symmetric, and we can start this one and this one symmetric about that one. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Now, to finish this up and make it so that you can revolve it, what we need to go back and do is right-click on the image and hide it and kind of finish this up. And so all of this right here can basically be just reconnected over to here. So let's see, do we want to basically make it out that far? Let's see. Do we want to go in further? I guess you can use your discretion on this one. I would say come in a little bit further and then pull this one a little bit out. And then go ahead and connect these two so we have a solid shape. That kind of moved this other one out though, so I don't really like that one so much. So what we can do then is just see if we can get it closer by hand. Did that work? All right, so now if we roll this forward, will it do the revolve? Sure enough. And so there's our hole in the middle where the hub is going to be, and then the knuckle and a half axle will be there. But now we can go back and right click on this surface here, new sketch. And you know what? Let's go back. Let's finish that right there. Let's go back on this one and say edit sketch. Can we move this whole thing to the origin? You know what? It would probably distort things. It probably, if we try to move this over to the origin, it would probably distort all this because you can see it's not fully defined. All right, so back to my sketch over here, edit sketch. It goes off screen. That was the part I was trying to avoid, but that's okay. Right click, or I mean circle click, and then remember to go 156 millimeters for this one. Make this a dotted line. And we're going to drill our holes right here. I think they're 3/8 of an inch. So let's make one of them right here and see if 3/8 makes sense. So there it is. And we need 4 of these. So let's do well, I guess first of all, cut it. I think we'll revolve it. So let's do an extrude cut through all. So there's our hole for our lug nut and bolt that goes through there. Select that extrusion and let's make a circular pattern out of that. So circular pattern. And right there, you can see it made too many of them because as we saw from the specifications, it's not like a standard car tire. It's an off-road vehicle, so it only has 4 lug nuts. Okay, look at that. Now we finished the wheel. Looks fantastic. You can even change the material of it a little bit later to aluminum. And then we'll change once we get the tire on there, we'll change that to rubber. All right, let's save this one. And then I wonder if we can just go back to our original sketch and then draw the tire on that and revolve that and paint it black. All right, so let's go back over here to the sketch edit right here. And then I'm so glad we didn't delete the image because then we can make it visible again and make the shape of this. Now, our tire is actually not flat like this. It's more like Well, let me find it for you, and so that way we can be more deliberate in our design. So for this project, we have a BOM, bill of materials, with all of our parts in there. Switch to Control F and type in wheel. Oh wait, a tire. We've already looked at the wheel. And where is the tire at? Down here. And here's the shape of it right here. And you're going to see that it's not really flat on the bottom. It's more like it's almost like a toroid. See, that's flat, but this one's more rounded. So what if we did something like an ellipse in there and then kind of go from there? So let's see. I haven't really tried an ellipse in a while. What we can do is just draw it out here somewhere, making sure it's not locked in. But you know what? It wouldn't be hurt. It wouldn't hurt if we didn't lock in here to make it symmetric. All right, so then like this, and then go out this way. Is that the way we want to go? I don't think so. I think it's we want to go vertical and horizontal with that. So we don't want to go diagonal. So let's go back to ellipse. Click the center here, which we can move around in a minute. Come down here to the bottom. Then we'll go out this direction to try to line things up. Okay, so that's kind of okay, but then to make it more specific to our case, we can just right click here and hide that, and then just do some locking in because the bead or the black ring is going to be right up against this one right here. We can make this coincident with that, and it's also coincident with there um, as well. I think we did that good. Is that already there? Oh yeah, already did it because of symmetry. That's really nice. And the tire doesn't actually go down this far. So we're going to see if we can actually split that off or can we trim it off? So if we trim that, I haven't used the trim tool in a while. That trimmed too much, obviously. So, um, yeah, let's see if we can split instead. So splitting there, I thought we could do it there as well, but it doesn't look like it. This allows us to make a segment out of that. Can we take this and pull it back over there? So, yeah, I really want to split this. Let's see if we can find a way. Split right there. Okay, it didn't really do it. It wants to do it right there in the middle. So let's see here. Here's might be a trick that we can use. So come in here and say, let's delete that constraint so it's not um, coincident. And then can we move it back to there? Yep. And then can we make it coincident then? Here and there. And we want to do the same thing on this other side. So see if I can remember what I did. I think I did one of them was split, maybe. And then I deleted that segment. And then I said, let's not lock this one in place. So I deleted a constraint and then I pulled it back. Now that kind of made it a little bit more, um, yeah, it looks like it goes beyond the wheel. So let's see if we can grab anything and shift it. Oh my gosh, look at the distortion there. That wasn't good. What we could do is we can try to take this one, lock that into position there, and then put a little, well, that one's already got a lock, and then see if we move this around. But it looks like it's trying to move all these other things around too, which is not good. Hmm. Can we move this up and down? Yeah, so let's just kind of move it until it's, whoa, what is that doing? Oh, it's losing its symmetry. Let's just pull it in until you can see, wow, that's not good. I forgot to line this up. Look how tedious this is actually, just to get a tire on there. So I'm having a little trouble with this ellipse. If I got to go like this, you can see that it disconnects from that point. I don't know if me trying to reconnect it is going to do any good. Oh yeah, it kind of actually looks okay. So let me move it up a little bit more. Okay, that would blow it up too much. We really want this edge right here to be about the same as that right there. So maybe deflate it a little bit more, and we have that. If you don't have any luck with that, go up here to the arc tool and use a 3-point arc and just go right here and right here for the first two clicks, and then just blow up your tire like that. Okay, so that should work. And then we can do a little offset right here from this one. Bring that in just a little bit, represent the wall of the tire. And then usually there's like see, what is it called? A bead. So there's like a round area right here that that has a little bit more materials to keep it inside of here. I want to say it's more like down here though. Okay, let's see. That's going to be inside the metal, so that's not good. Let's try tangent. And then it's not ideal because the bead should be sitting lower down here in the ring. And this actually doesn't need to be a tangent necessarily. You really want like this because the bead is a little bit bigger. And you can even say, let's do a little split right there and make that the construction line. So that's kind of what the bead looks like. And I can make a duplicate of that over here. Wonder if that's easy to do. So let's try our mirror tool. So mirror, and then we grab the object we want to make a mirror. We select the mirror line, which was this one right here. We hit apply, and then we connect the dots over here. Okay, there we go. So it looks like I need to make it tangent down here. Forgot about that part. I hope that didn't mess things up. And it sure did. That kind of thing happens. It's better just to kind of manually start moving things around. So this should actually be down here. Okay, I just went to class and came back and I just thought, well, maybe I'll just like make this a lot easier for ourselves and just use part of this here. So since we're on this sketch and it ends right here, what we could do is continue here and then just, I guess, go all the way back over there. Or could we bring this around here? See, it's kind of changing the shape on that, unfortunately, when we do that. So I'll just connect a line here. And I guess maybe right there would be good, even though technically it has a little bead right here. Let's see if that's going to be enough for what we want to accomplish. Because what we're trying to do is create a closed shape from which we can revolve. So we go up here to revolve, and if we edit this feature, we can do a second revolve by hitting the plus sign, then selecting this shape, hopefully right there, and then revolving it around the selected axis again. And it looks like it did a good job, like so. And it's got a little bit of a sticking out right there, which might be okay. Let me think about that for a second. While I do that, what we can do is change it to black rubber just to see how close it looks like to what we're needing. Green. River rock. What's rubble? Okay, I selected one of those. That did not look right. So go here, do it again. Good afternoon. They're down at an SPS meeting right now. All right, so I'm pretty happy with what we have here, except for a little bit of gap right there. That's just me being picky. You don't have to do this next step if you don't want to, editing the sketch. And then I'm going to fill in that gap using just a line going from here down to here, and hopefully getting the same reference line right over here, right there, and right there. And so that means that when I come back over here to finishing the sketch, you'll see that it's still not filled in, but what you can do is do the second revolve, edit uh, feature, and then you can say select more of the profile. And so I'm going to select that part of the profile right there and that part of the profile. Just so you can see that I filled in that gap, bothered by a little bit. And of course, it doesn't have the right color, so I'm going to select it, go up here to select that and make it rubber. There we go. Pretty good. I like that. There's a lot of style there. I dare y'all to write Goodyear around the outside with white walls, but you know, manage your time, of course, not required. The final thing we want to do is add some traction points for it. And here I'll let you be really creative as far as what shape you want to use as far as the treads. I will just make some pretty simple shapes and let's see. Okay, there we go. So what we can do next is to put some treads on here is first of all, we have to kind of get a plane that's out that far so we can project onto it. So if we show one of these planes that is most likely right there, how did that work out? Let's look at the right view. Okay, it's almost to that point where it's there. So we start with that plane there and we just make an offset and we start dragging it toward there so we get a little bit closer to it. So go plane, then offset. And so we want to offset it from this one and we want to go the opposite direction. So I want to pull it down until it's um, right at the surface or maybe just a little bit above, just a little bit above. And that's where I'm going to make my traction point. So if I make a sketch right here on that plane, I think you can say right click, new sketch, and then we just want to put some kind of shape there. You can put like a 3-leaf clover if you want to. I'm just going to make an arbitrary shape like this, and like that, and like this for no reason at all. Just to kind of be an unusual shape. As you can see from our picture on Amazon, you have quite an option of things to do. Um, your choice of what you want the treads to look like. And so then if I go over here and I say extrude, and I want to extrude all of these things, maybe, might leave one of those open just for fun. Okay. And we want to extrude that downward. Let's see, is the real? Yeah. And we want to extrude it downward so it goes into the rubber like that. Um, and so 1 inch is probably good enough. And yeah, so maybe that's good enough. And then that is a rather unusual shape. It looks like I forgot to click on those two things, but that's all right. So we select those two things and make those black rubber, and then we just revolve those around the origin. And you can do that as many times as you want to and revolve different directions as well. So we're going to take this extrusion right here, and we're going to make a circular pattern. in the 3D model. And then it's going to ask for direction. And I think we're going to use the X direction like this, although that does not look right. So I think what we want to do is come back over here and select this circle. You can see it's around the outside edges. So you can say, do you want 60 of those, or is that too many? 30, 50. There you go. And of course, it didn't make it didn't make them all black. That's great. But I think you can just go right here and then go up here to this right here and say rubber and black. It looks like it didn't even get that first one completely done either, so I can go back and do that one. And then as always, when you have a working plane, you want to hide that before submitting any work. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Looking pretty professional. Now I want you to do two things, and that is to make a hole right here with a 1 inch, 1/4 inch cylinder coming out and make it black, and that will be the where you add air to the tire. And then also continue your treads further over based on your personal preferences about how far to go around and about the pattern that you use. You can, in fact, just use stripes if you want to. Uh, you can use hexagons. Yeah, just be creative with that. Click the home button right here, then click save. Make sure you got that. It's going to be an IPT file, so I should have no trouble viewing that. All right, I'll see you on the next video.